So again, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Town and County Club. We're so thrilled to have so many of you here and so many guests, as well as, of course, our own members. I am Mary Beth Murphy, and I'm the president of the Town and County Club. And the Town and County Club is where interesting and interested women connect. I'd like to welcome you to the third Success My Way series. You will meet three of the interesting women that I spoke of that we are proud to call our own members. You will hear their stories and the extraordinary challenges they've faced, how they found their direction in life, and what they've been able to accomplish as a result. In addition, they'll leave you with the best advice they have to offer you. My short story is that I joined the Town and County Club 18 years ago when I was 38. I wanted to meet interesting women, and even though I was younger than many of the members, I certainly did just that. It has been my home away from home ever since. It's where I entertain, it's where I stop by after work, it's where I enjoy meals and a glass of wine with friends, whether they be fellow club members or women in other walks of my life that I invite to join me. Before we start our program, I'd like to introduce our panel moderator, Marge Piccini. Marge has been a member of the Town and County for 8 years. Here, she serves on the Board of Governors as chair of our Membership Development Committee, and she is co-chair of our Business Connections Group, which meets monthly and offers support, guidance, connections, and community for our enterprising members. Outside the club, Marge is a success mentor to high-achieving women leaders wanting to go big without burning out. Please join me in welcoming Marge Piccini.
Thank you, Mary Beth. In addition to Mary Beth's role as president at the Town and County Club, she's also president at Shimkus, Murphy, and Lemkuhl, a successful third-generation insurance and real estate business here in Hartford. We're happy to have her share her expertise as top executive with the club to help ensure our continued success. I joined the club twice. The first time was when my daughter began attending the Loomis Chaffee School in Windsor. My time freed up, and I had been working so relentlessly to build my career that I didn't have a strong social network set up. And now I had the time for one. So the Town and County Club was perfect for me to plug into. Then I had to leave because my business blew up when the recession hit, and when I was able, one of the first things I did was to rejoin the Town and County Club. Just as this is my club and Mary Beth's club, it's a club to 400 women ranging in age from 27 to 97. And we're all incredibly grateful to the woman who saw something in us and sponsored our membership. You may be surprised to know that the Town and County Club is the only private women's club in Connecticut. And it's also Hartford's best-kept secret. Founded in 1925 by a group of determined and progressive women, the membership has always been comprised of the dynamic women leaders of the time. Think about that. Women gained the right to vote just 5 years before the Town and County was formed. Many of the original members were activists, careerists, and philanthropists, and the same holds true today. We're proud that our club serves as a retreat for these women. It's a welcoming place where they can remove their titles, like they remove their coats, and just be Sarah, Janet, Susan, and so on. Like Mary Beth shared, the club is where we come together to enjoy intellectually stimulating events put on by our luncheon and dinner committees and current events chairs. Join a variety of book clubs, as well as enjoy social events like bridge, casual lunches, and cocktail gatherings. We also enjoy trips and tours together outside the club. I call the TNC experience low-maintenance socializing. I don't need to find an event or even find a friend to accompany me. I just show up. I enjoy it and then go home. It's all arranged. There's no planning, no shopping, no preparation, and no cleanup. Since the beginning, the Town and County membership has been supporting women in the community. And to that end, we proudly provide scholarships to non-traditional female students each year. As a matter of fact, our scholarship awards luncheon is next week. It's when we hear the recipients tell their stories and share what the scholarship means to them. It's a heartwarming experience in every way, and one that members are very proud of. This morning, we're happy to share our beautiful club with you. Thank you for joining us. It's always a joy for me to introduce women in my networks to the Town and County Club. Each time one comes for the first time, they become curious about the club and the opportunity of membership. We expect that may happen for you too. We've come to expect it, and for this reason, we'll have members and staff on hand after the program to take you on a quick tour of all 3 levels of the historic 1895 Lyman House and to learn about club membership. If you're interested, plan to stay after the program ends for the 15-minute tour or to arrange for another visit. We're going to kick off the morning with eating this delicious breakfast, prepared by Chef Damien Gomez, and enjoying some networking time with your table mates. Then I'll come back up to the stage and get the panel started. But a couple of things. Restrooms are located for some of you, they're through those doors. I was going to say to your left, but that's not true for all of you. Coffee and water are on your table. If you'd like to replenish your juice, your tea, or your decaf, please feel free to self-serve at the beverage station. Table hostesses, attached to the envelope on your table, you will find the networking questions to lead your table discussion. Each guest will have about 90 seconds to share. And please eat your delicious breakfast and enjoy some networking time with your table mates. I will be back soon. Thank you, Chef Gomez. Oh my goodness. Such heartwarming stories and wisdom were shared at my table. I hope your table discussion was just as stimulating. Please silence your phones, but don't turn them off. We don't want you to miss a minute of what our panelists have to say. Ooh, I have a little friend here. Okay. Oh, goodness. All right, little spider. You're not going to want to miss a minute of what our panelists have to share, but keep your phones turned on because we want you to take photos and post them on social media. Be sure to check in at the Town and County Club and like us on Facebook. If you like to use hashtags, use hashtag #SuccessMyWay and hashtag town and county, and spelled out. Our members play very important roles here at the club. For example, today's event is a collaborative effort of 2 committees, Business Connections and Membership Development. My Business Connections Group co-chair, Sue Barnes, is also co-chair of today's event with me. I love working on anything with Sue because we complement each other well. I'm a big picture person, and she's especially gifted at knowing the details of all the moving parts and keeping them in check. Making sure things are solid is her forte. This is highly evident in her work as a financial planner with Lincoln Financial Group. She is truly masterful. Thank you, Sue. Other committees involved in this morning's breakfast are the Flower Committee and the Hospitality Committee. Of course, our club manager, Michael Duval, assistant manager, John Bates, and marketing communications, Maggie Shapiro, and all of the extraordinary people on our staff behind the scenes. Some have been with the TNC for more than 25 years. I'd like to offer a special thank you to a couple of members. Sharon McCormick, thank you so much. She and John Bates worked on our beautiful stage setup here. Sharon is an interior designer, and if you're into seeing things that are really spectacular, interior design-wise, then you're going to want to go to the Junior League Show House. Sharon designed the sophisticated CEO office. You'll want to see that. Also, I want to thank member Sarah Riley. Sarah, your behind-the-scenes work on this event has not gone unnoticed. Thank you. And I'd like to offer a special thank you to Robin Johnson, Assistant Club Manager. Robin, can you wave so everyone can see you? Robin's up on the balcony. Robin is an extraordinary woman with incredible talent, and I am so blessed to be able to work closely with her on projects here at the club. If you've met Robin, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't met her yet, you want to be sure you do. Robin is our event planner for non-member events like weddings, showers, retirement parties, nonprofit, and business events. And she's also the go-to person for membership. This card that was on your chair when you arrived at your table has Robin's contact information on it. You'll want to hold on to this because Robin is someone that you want to have in your network. Thank you, Robin. All of the TNC staff make the club's events and those hosted by outside groups flow beautifully here in our ballroom and the other parts of the house, which you'll see on the tour. As a matter of fact, I host my business events here, as do many of my friends and business associates that aren't members. You may be surprised to know that the Connecticut Women's Hall of Fame has inducted 10 TNC members, including Theodate Pope Riddle, founding member. She was a founding member of the town and county, noted architect who designed the Hillstead Museum, Westover School, and Avon Old Farms, and was a survivor of the Lusitania sinking. Katharine Hepburn's mother, Katharine Martha Houghton Hepburn, was a member of the town and county as well. She was a feminist social reformer and a leader of the suffrage movement in the United States. She served as the president of the Connecticut Women's Suffrage Association before joining the National Woman's Party. And she also co-founded what is known today as Planned Parenthood. Ellen Ash Peters, first woman named justice to the Connecticut Supreme Court, and further named Chief Justice, the highest position in the state's judiciary. 10 women in a little over 90 years. It's a pretty impressive record for an organization of about 400 women or so. Many of our members are recipients of Community and Business Leadership Awards, Emmys, and other public recognition. Just last week, the Hartford Business Journal named town and county member Lynn Rossini of the St. Francis Foundation, one of 8 remarkable women. Like most women, they don't think much of their accomplishments because they don't see what they've done as or how they've navigated through life as spectacular. They're just doing what they had to do. And the same holds true for our Success My Way panelists. And that's the beauty of today's program. In our pre-event interviews, I get to hear the stories of the panelists and point out to them how unique and brilliant they truly are. My unique brilliance is helping women to discover an area of brilliance that they can't see for themselves. And it's always there, and I love finding it. So I'm very excited for you to hear the stories of our 3 town and county panelists. Please make your way to the stage. and hear how they define success and maybe even how their definition of success has changed throughout their career. And you'll definitely learn about what guides each of them. Let's get started welcoming Sharon Pope. Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't expect to have this one here. Okay. Sharon is special counsel to Zepiga, Daly, Pope, and Perry, and was the recipient of the 2017 Hartford County Bar Association President's Award for Excellence. Next is Karen Lawson. Karen is a social worker at Capital Prep Magnet School in the Hartford Public School System and is vice president at Lawson Power Source and Property Management. She's also mom to 2 young children. And rounding out the panel is Debbie Deno. Debbie is tax partner with Fetterman, Lally, and Remus. She's a member of the executive leadership team for the Greater Hartford Go Red for Women coordinator, for women and coordinator of the Fetterman, Lally, and Remus Volunteers for Read to a Child. Panelists, I'd like to get started by you sharing a little bit more about what you do professionally and share a bit about the contribution that you make. Sharon, I'd like to start with you.
Is my
Yep.
my life?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Good, because I wouldn't want to be dead. No. But I'm alive. Thank you, Marge. I really appreciate that. Currently, I am called Special Counsel. I love that title because it's like Robert Mueller, you know. Special Counsel of Zepiga, Daly, Pope, and Perry, a law firm that's dedicated to serving the needs of the elderly, estate planning, special needs, and so forth. And that's my professional career. I keep trying to retire. It doesn't seem to be working out very well. So I've determined that retire is really an active verb. It's retiring and not just retired. So in addition to that, I'm very active in teaching because I have, as you'll hear, a past career as a professor. So I teach an elder law clinic course at UConn Law School. And I'm a distinguished practitioner in residence at Yale Law School. I love that title, isn't that great? They don't give you any money, but they give you a title. So those, I think that's enough about me.
Sorry. Thank you. And Karen.
Good morning. Currently, I work at Capital Prep Magnet School. It's located in Hartford, Connecticut. I provide school social work services to students grades pre-K through 5. In addition to that, my husband and I own Lawson Power Source Property Management, LLC. We're electrical contracting, home improvement services, and property management services.
Thank you.
Hello, am I on? Good morning. As Marge said, I'm Debbie Deno. I'm a tax partner at Fetterman, Lally, and Remus in Farmington, Connecticut. We're a local CPA firm. Our clientele is basically high net worth individuals and closely held businesses in the manufacturing, healthcare, and real estate industries. And our clients usually come to us because they may have a change in their tax situation and they need a professional who can navigate the complex tax laws. And they may come to us because they're afraid of the IRS and they don't want to be audited or experience fines and penalties. You stay out of jail.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Can everyone hear all of the panelists in the back? Fantastic. Okay. I find that successful people don't typically stumble into their careers. Rather, their work is born out of who they are authentically. When you look back at your life, what unique circumstances or experiences set you up to do the work that you do now? Sharon?
I knew she was going to look at me first. Couldn't you just talk to the other first 2 folks and I'll just say ditto or something? Oh boy, that's a tough one. I guess starting out in high school, I was on a debate team, and my father used to say to me, you will just argue with everybody, won't you? Because of course I did. I was a teenage girl, and I argued with them all the time. And I thought to myself, oh, I need a field that you argue in. So that sounded like law to me. So I thought that was one possibility. However, I started out in education. So I didn't start out in law. I started out with a bachelor's and a master's degree in education. And then years later, I went on to law school. But I think that was the initial inspiration. What was I good at? You know, and I found out that really arguing isn't what I do at all in law, but it sounded like a good idea at the time. Interestingly enough, my background, my undergraduate degree was in theater. And you think, how in the world does that relate to law? But it allows me to put myself in everyone else's shoes. And not in an acting way, but when you're acting, you have to put on someone else's hat, think how they think, breathe how they breathe, act like they do, because you're on stage. And I think that the ability to put myself in other people's shoes, so every client that comes in, I feel like I can really relate and think about how would it be for them. And so I like that part. That kind of spurred me on to going on to law after education.
Thank you.
You want me to say something else? She's looking at me like I forgot something.
You
Did
must
I?
have said something in your interview.
I probably did.
What was the influence for you to go into elder law?
Yes, okay, specifically, why did I go into law that addresses old people? All right. Number one, I thought I would get old, I was hoping. But no, really, the reason I told Marge, I was so fortunate. I grew up in Indiana on a small farm, and I had 4 grandparents. All 4 of my grandparents lived until I was 30 years old. That was when my first grandparent passed away. And I felt at the time, you know, these are people, when I made a choice of what area of practice to go into, I thought, you know, that's the voice I need to lend, because there's a lot of other folks working for other voices to children and things of that sort, but no one was really doing much about the elderly. We were sort of discarding them and not honoring them the way that we were told we were supposed to. And so I really picked elder law to honor my grandparents.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And Karen, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes.
Okay. I find that successful people don't typically stumble into their careers. Rather, their work is born out of who they are authentically. When you look back at your life, what unique circumstances or experiences set you up to do the work that you do now?
So when I was in the 4th grade, my mom was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and it was devastating for me and my entire family. And I found myself spending a substantial amount of time in the school social worker's office. My school social worker was Miss Perry, and she supported me. She supported my father. She supported my mother. She was my rock. She answered all the questions that, you know, my aunts and uncles wouldn't provide the answers to because they felt that I was too young. She was my listening friend, and she eased my fears, and she helped watching my mom go through the process. She helped make it really easy for me.
And so then later in your life, because she served as such a mentor for you that
Yes.
that you wanted to be like her.
Yes, definitely. When I was in college, I found myself helping people in the community. I was a person that everybody wanted to talk to, and I volunteered at my former elementary school. So I decided I wanted to be just like Miss Perry, to help people overcome their challenges.
That's beautiful.
I don't need it.
I'm sorry.
I don't need you to ask it.
Thank you.
I'll give you a break. So when I was in high school getting ready to apply to college, I thought I wanted to do computer science. I liked to solve problems and provide resolutions. And when I applied and I went to UConn, the program that I was assigned to was more in the engineering department, like a physics type program, and not really what I was looking for. So I spoke to my mom and I said, this isn't really what I want. I don't know what to do. She said, well, you're good in math. Why don't you go into accounting? So at that time, UConn had changed their program. You did 2 years in liberal arts and then applied to the business school. So that's what I did, went on that track, did accounting, graduated, got a job at one of the big 8 at the time. Times have changed. And I was in the audit department, which is typically where you end up. And in the spring or winter, they said that people could, take a stint in the tax department. So I said, I'm going to try that because I liked my tax class when I took it in college. So I said, I'm going to give it a try and see if I like it. And I did. And so I went over to the tax side. So if you're from a CPA firm, you know that, or if you know CPA firms, you know that there's the audit side and the tax side, and one's the dark side and one's not the dark side. And if you're on one side, you think the other side's the dark side. So I eventually decided that I wanted to just be in strictly tax. So, and it provides me a way to, research and, help our clients with their problems and provide resolutions, whether it's a year that's gone past and we have to see if there's a way to cut down their tax liability or just tax planning in general. So I really enjoy doing that, and that's why I ended up here. So thanks to my mom for steering me in the right direction.
Thank you, Mom. So was she the woman that inspired you? Was that your?
Yes,
Cable
she
chair?
pretty much,
Yeah. Yeah.
She pretty much inspired me. She was a single mom, so from the time we were pretty young. So, just looking up to her and everything she did as a single mom, carting us back and forth, and having her, establishing what she could for a career, she pushed us in the right direction.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
We all know that no matter the degree of our success, there are always challenges that need to be resolved. What career challenges have you had to overcome, and how did you overcome that or those challenges? Sharon, you've got a great story for this.
Okay, so remind me what my story is. She interviewed us last week and she has the answers, but she's not going to tell us.
Well, I'll tell you,
Which one?
I will point out that you're a woman
Yeah.
and you're in a profession.
Yes, okay, I know. Okay. I've actually been in 2 professions, and still in both, that are dominated clearly by men. And one is being a professor. I'm a tenured professor. I was a tenured professor at University of Hartford. First I was at Hartford College for Women, then went to University of Hartford when we merged. And that was extremely unusual. It was clearly dominated by men. There were very few women professors who were tenured. It was a struggle to climb up. Prior to that, in law school, I was one of 10 women in a class of 120 men. And so it was unusual when I went to law school to have women in the class. And luckily, we just hung together because none of the men would allow us to have study groups with them. So we made our own study groups, and we managed just fine. So those 2 things, those are sort of a struggle in a really male-dominated environment, not only in the law school environment and as a professor, but then in the practice of law itself. So again, it's a very male-dominated profession. Not as much now, but it was certainly when I started. So those were the big challenges. How do you still remain who you are and make sure that you have colleagues? Because just because they're men doesn't mean they're evil, Well, maybe. Well, I have a husband, 2 sons, so I'm just kidding, of course. I think that just kind of making sure that you still stand up for what you believe in, because I believe you can do good and still do well. And I think that's a concept that was very hard for my male colleagues in the practice of law to understand. And I'm not sure they still believe that, but I believe strongly you can do good work and you can still do well in all kinds of ways. And I think that's something that I was willing to stand for amongst those who are naysayers of that concept. So that was a challenge, it still is.
Absolutely. Thank you for leading the charge on that, though. Yeah, terrific. And Karen?
So working with the client population that I serve can be extremely overwhelming emotionally. And in the beginning of my career, it was really difficult for me to be able to detach emotionally so that I can deliver the services. After a few years and many, many talks with Ms. Perry, who served as my mentor later in life, I was able to deal with emotionally charged situations with relative ease. And most importantly, I was able to detach from the situation that the client presented with so that I could render those services. So that has definitely been a challenge for me in the past. This skill has also helped me as far as being able to detach from my workday, because I would take that baggage home in the beginning of my career, find myself crying or having a few apple martinis, one too many. But now, I'm able to leave whatever situation that I dealt with during the day at the door, emotionally detached, and be present for my family.
And I just have to share this with all of you. And I did not expect you to say this. But Karen is someone that I greatly admire. I had the wonderful opportunity of inviting her to help me on a special project here at the Town and County Club. And oh my goodness, what this woman has dealt with from last November until just this week, I mean, is just extraordinary. And also be able to, be a social worker in a city school system and have 2 children, and her daughter was just accepted to the Ethel Walker School. So just, would you mind elaborating a little bit on what has been happening?
Sure. So back in September 29th, the day of my 12th wedding anniversary, I was in the Dominican Republic and I received a phone call that no daughter wants to receive. I'm a daddy's girl. So my dad was in cardiac arrest and he had been rushed to St. Francis Hospital. So I left DR to come back to the US, and my dad had another heart attack. They stabilized him. He had another heart attack again on October the 2nd. So he went through another procedure called ablation. It's like a procedure that recharges your heart. So he has not been well. He's on the mend now, but he's not himself. In addition to all of that, I decided to take another vacation in December. I'm like, okay, Dad's stabilized, let me go away. So I took my kids to Disney World, and after I returned, the day after Christmas, my mom was fighting for her life in St. Francis. They thought she had diverticulitis, but they later discovered she had stage 4 colon cancer. So she's been battling with that. She actually just came home 3 weeks ago. So I spend my life like running back and forth to care centers, to the hospital, making sure my parents eat, carting my kids around. And I know you're probably wondering, well, where's her husband? My husband had a freak accident on one of the job sites in January that resulted in him breaking his ankle in 3 places and his leg in 2. He was bedridden for 3 weeks, so it was just me solely caring for my 2 children, my parents, my husband, and running our family business. And several weeks ago, I lost 2 family members that are near and dear to me. So, and in addition to all of that, my kids both were diagnosed with the flu. One had strand A and one had strand B. But I went to work every single day. I did not want to miss out on an opportunity to service my students. A lot of them, I'm not sure if you guys know much about special education, but it's crucial that all service providers are on board, rendering those services, attending the meetings, making recommendations. So I didn't want to leave my kids at the school high and dry. So somehow I managed to do it all, and still take vacations and still come to the club.
And she looks like she has absolutely no stress in her life. I mean, look at this woman. It's incredible. Incredible. And on top of it all, we have a private Facebook group for the members here to, connect with each other outside of the club, if you will. And every single day through all of that, Karen has made an inspirational post in that group. It's just unbelievable.
I stay sane, and that keeps me going. I pray every day, try to stay positive, and I always remember my mom telling me that someone's always watching you. So my words of encouragement could be the words that save someone else's life. So
Incredible. Thank you. Sorry, you got to follow that one.
I do, but as you know, I can relate.
Yes.
So earlier this year on January 10th, my husband got the call that we had been hoping and praying for about 27 months. Yale New Haven Hospital called at 9 p.m. and said that they had a heart ready for my husband. He had been on the heart transplant list for 27 months. He had his first heart attack, well, his only heart attack, in 2005. And from there, it got just progressively worse, became congestive heart failure, and just progressed. So it was something we were dealing with for 12 years. And finally, we had a nice ending. I will say he is doing great. All of the biopsies have come back clean, and it was just a miracle for us and our family. So Karen, I can definitely relate. But it has been a struggle, and especially the last 2 years while he was on the transplant list, he was very sick. And I became, shortly after his heart attack in 2005, I became the sole income earner in our household. And my daughter was only 5 at the time. And, I was taking care of her, I'm taking care of him, taking care of our household. And we did what we could, and we took it, one day at a time. And how we did it is we luckily had the support of family members that lived close by. My daughter had the support of all her teachers and classmates and the school system. And for my position, I had the support of my firm and my partners. They always had my back. I was always worried. And, when we got the call in January, I'm like, great, tax season's starting, what are we doing? And multiple appointments back and forth, so and I've also learned to accept help when people offer it. You sometimes feel bad that you're asking this person for, my daughter to get a ride somewhere. Thankfully, this year she has her license, so she could take herself wherever she needed to go. But it is hard to accept help. So I've learned that, accept help from the partners that, are offering to help. You feel guilty that people are taking on extra work, but there's a time now for me to, pay it back. So I can definitely relate to Karen, and believe me, accept help when it's offered.
Incredible challenges. Amazing. Success? Yes, thank you. Yeah. Success doesn't happen in a straight line, does it? It usually looks more like San Francisco's crooked street, full of twists and turns. Not every decision is a perfect one, and sometimes we can be sent in a very different direction than planned. Our audience can benefit from your experience in this area. Please share a decision that you've made that you now classify as a misstep or a decision that has served as a catalyst for your greatest learning. Sharon.
Misstep. I think that one I relate to Marge was I didn't go to law school right out of undergraduate school, as I mentioned. 5 or 6 years later I attended. And so I was working full-time because I didn't want to have student loans. And I was in law school full-time. And then I got pregnant. That wasn't exactly planned in those days. You might not be familiar with how this happens, but at any rate, after my first year of law school, my oldest son, Justin, arrived on January 3rd. He was supposed to arrive December 16th. And these wouldn't have happened these days. They would have probably induced me or something. But he was supposed to arrive during final exam, so I took that semester off. But he arrived the first day of the next semester. So on Monday, I had to deliver Justin. On Thursday, I was back in law school. So a misstep, it's not a misstep to have a baby, not at all. We dearly love, but it wasn't planned, let me say that.
Thank you. And Karen?
In the field of social work, it's typical to pursue clinical licensure, and that I did. I completed the postgraduate studies. I completed 2,000 clinical hours, but I walked away from it all after accepting employment at a clinical day school. I was attacked by one of my clients, and I decided at that time, after the second surgery, that no amount of money was worth me jeopardizing my sanity and my safety. And most importantly, I did not want to go to work every day knowing that there's a possibility that I wouldn't be able to return home for my children and my family. So at that time, I did some soul searching, and I asked myself, what was it that inspired me to be a social worker in the first place? And then I remembered it was my experience in fourth grade with Miss Perry. I remember that she was my listening friend, and she taught me the importance of listening to she taught me the importance of listening to understand rather than listening to respond. So I decided to make that my niche. It's where I feel most effective and most successful, and most importantly, it allowed me to balance family and work.
That's incredible wisdom there. Listen to understand and not respond. Like, how many times do you wish people would do that? Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. Wow, thank you. And Debbie?
Okay.
Crooked
so-
Street.
Crooked Street, right. Mine was a little bit of a crooked street.
Yeah, you had a crooked street.
And then a circle.
Yeah.
So at my firm, Federal Riley and Remus, this is actually my second stint at being at the firm. I was the first professional employee, actually, back in 1993, I think it was. And after 4.5 years, I thought I needed to leave and get other opportunities and just go out into the world and do some other things in private industry. I left, and after about a year or so, the firm really started to grow. And I originally thought, like, gee, maybe I shouldn't have left. I maybe should have stuck it out and seen what the opportunities were. But then I look back and I think to myself, I kept in touch with the partners there. I left on good terms. I always kept in touch, just even for my businesses that I was working in. And eventually, I decided that I wanted to go back. And I just woke up one day. I had a vision of what I wanted to do if I went back. I called our managing partner and I said, hey, I think I want to come back. He actually said, well, what's there to talk about? Just show up and figure out the details later. So we had a mutual respect for each other, and now I feel like, originally I thought maybe it was a misstep, that I made a mistake, and I never should have left. But now I feel, when I look back, that I was able to grow as a person. I was able to gain more experiences at different businesses that I could then bring back to FLR when I came back. So yes, maybe it was a misstep at the time, but now it's not. And even if you think you made a misstep, it's really not. It's just a different path that you took to get to the same place.
That's great. Thank you. I remember wondering at one point in my first career, what is all of this going to add up to? Because I felt like I was here, and then I was here, and then I was here, and then here, and none of the dots seemed to connect except the industry that I was in. So, but what's really cool is that they end up at some point connecting and being really powerful strategic moves, even though they may have been made, in a manner that was unconscious to that path, which is really cool. And Sharon, you spoke about this in your pre-interview. You talked about, you just set your goal and did what you needed to do next. And, just kept moving on towards that goal. And, ultimately you arrive at the spot where you want to be, which is really great. So now we're going to talk about success. What does success mean anyway? Like most people, I was trained to define success by titles, accomplishments, and material wealth. And I worked relentlessly to that end. When I reached my big goal, I was surprised by my response. I didn't feel any different. I thought I would. I thought I would feel jubilant and proud and accomplished and like a successful business leader. But instead, my body relaxed. And I felt deeply for the first time in a long time. And I realized that I had been running on adrenaline for years. And I was tired and I was sick. And I later learned I was burned out. Burnout led me to not want my high-octane, high-stress career anymore. But I didn't know how to transition my career and my life gracefully on my own, and I was too ashamed to even talk about my feelings and ask for help. So I ended up losing everything that I worked so hard to build. Since then, I have redefined my definition of success, and it's very different than what it was early in my career. And so now, of course, that's what I do, is to help other women who want to go big to do that without burning out and without losing everything they worked so hard to build. So my question for you is, how do you define success, and has that changed throughout your career?
I didn't have to think about this very long, luckily, when Margie asked me last week. I define success as setting a goal, setting my goal, not someone else's goal, setting my own goals and achieving that goal, and then continuing to set goals and achieve those goals. And I don't have this big checklist, like check this, check this, check this, but as I go along, I think about what would I like to do next. My question is always, what puts a light in my eye and a fire in my heart? Really, that's the only question I ask when I'm setting my own goals. What puts a light in my eye and a fire in my heart? And then I just go about trying to figure out how to achieve it. Step by step, oftentimes you don't get there right away, but that's how I look at it. So I set high goals. I mean, you could say, set the bar low and then you'll always meet your goals. That's one option. But I didn't set it that way. I set it to things that I never thought I would be or never thought I could do. So that's success for me, is setting high goals for my own goals and then achieving them.
I love that. And something that is incredible that I want to share with you about Sharon, well, I'm going to have her share. Sharon, do you mind sharing with the audience how old you were when you launched your own law firm?
Sure. Okay, so as I told you, I wanted to be old, and I am, so that's very good news. I hope to get older, that's a good thing. I was a professor first and I was a professor and had an opportunity to take an early phased retirement. And I thought, ooh, good, I'll start my own law firm. So I was about 55 or between 55 and 60 when I started my own law firm.
So it's never too late.
Never too late, and was so successful that I had an awful lot of law firms in the area talking with me about merging with them, about buying my law firm. I've been in practice maybe 5 years at that point. And it was just, so that was pretty interesting and a lot of fun. But it is never too late, absolutely. And so I'm just thinking of what to do next. That's
Yeah.
and I may have to hire Marge.
Terrific, thank you. And Karen?
Success for me is the happiness that comes from knowing that I can provide for my 2 children educationally, financially, spiritually, and emotionally, and knowing that I can make a difference both in and outside of work.
Thank you.
So, like Marge, I originally thought like that success would be like the titles and how much wealth you had, measured by, say, dollars. But I think the wealth and the success that I look at now is being able to help my clients, being able to help other people, being able to be a role model for my daughter and other young women and give back in that way. And just resolve problems for my clients, because that's really what we're there for. And also being, their trusted advisor. I mean, I know that's kind of like a buzzword, but we have instances in our firm where we have clients just call us just about for anything. It's not really even accounting related. It could just be some personal thing that they need help with. And if we can even just point them in the right direction, I feel like that is, that's success in my book, that they can call me as someone that can help them.
I love that. I'm going to toss this out, and whoever would like to answer the question, go ahead and jump in. The Town and County Club has always been comprised of strong, inspiring, and high-achieving women, but we're primarily a social club. Do any of you have stories to share about ways in which your Town and County membership helped you in the workplace or in your career?
I am not going first this time.
Ah!
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll go. I'll jump in on this one.
Thank you.
So I've actually been a Town and County member for just a little over a year. I've met a lot of great women. Marge, especially with the Business Connections group, has been a nice group to come to on a Tuesday morning, or night times we have a couple things. And I met a lot of great people. I think it's forced me to get out of my box a little bit and take some risk. I did a presentation in February, right? For taxes.
It was planned before the heart came.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she's doing this while all that's going on too. Yeah, it was crazy.
Right. That was a little crazy. We almost had to
Yeah.
reschedule. So it's kind of forced me to kind of get out there, get out of my box, be familiar with, being on stage like this, although this is a little more comfortable than sitting and talking with people. But I think it's a great group. I haven't gotten into a lot of the social things, but I do enjoy connecting with other women, just socially and business-wise. And giving back. I actually, Sue Barnes recruited me for the Finance Committee, so it's another great way to meet people and also to give back to the club itself and bring some ideas.
And Sharon, you have something really unique that you do with when you make contributions to nonprofits.
So one of the things that I like to do to give back to the club, because my time is a little bit more limited right now, but I try to find creative ways to give back. And so what I do, for example, we just had a Hart School of Music. I was just inducted into the Board of Trustees for Hart School of Music at University of Hartford. And we have a gala, which many of you are familiar with these things every year. And so this year, up for auction, I put a cocktail party to be held at the club for up to, I think it was 25 or 30 people. And it was bid very well. I mean, the Hart School was very happy with this opportunity. And actually, it was the dean of the business school bid on it and ended up bringing his friends, and they had a lovely cocktail party at the club. So I donated that to the club and to Hart School of Music. So that was great. The one thing I like about the club, the one thing that got me actually to sign up for the club initially, is I mentioned early on when we moved here, I was a professor at Hartford College for Women. And the club was the only place in the whole area of the state that offered scholarships to non-traditional students. And most of my students at Hartford College for Women were clearly non-traditional students. And every year, several of them won the scholarships the club offers. And I'm big into that. That was really important to me. So thank you.
Thank you. Last question. What is the best advice that you have to offer to our audience members? Karen, why don't we start with you?
Join the Town and County Club.
That was not planned, by the way. Oh my gosh, that was great. Thank you. And Debbie?
I think I would say be confident in yourself and in your decisions. And I just be confident in yourself and in your decision. We went over what we thought maybe were missteps or challenges, and I think if you're confident in yourself, others around you will be confident as well.
And another way to say that, I love that, another way to say that is don't second guess yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just
Absolutely.
be firm, commit, and whatever happens, happens, and there's a learning experience that comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm sorry?
Shall I elaborate?
If you, sure.
So I definitely suggest you joining the Town and County Club. One of the reasons why is because the club members definitely encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone. I would have never mustered up the courage independently to be on this panel. About 3 weeks ago, I was in a fashion show, and I'm an introvert, and that's totally not me. The club is full of wonderful women, and they are listening friends. Even though they're not social workers, they listen to understand. They've guided me in the right direction. They're very resourceful. They're very caring, and it's a wonderful organization. And I'm proud to be a part of it.
Thank you, Karen.
I have two pieces of advice. The one is very short, and I'll give that first. Something that my mother said, and we always believed in, and that is, my mother said, never be the first to arrive at a party. Never be the last to leave the party. But always leave the party while you're still having fun. And I think for the transitions in my life, that's what I have done. And that attributes, I think, to my success. I have left before I really got to the point of burnt out, didn't want what I did, don't want to walk in the classroom. I didn't wait for that. I left before I had to, and while I was still having fun. There's a guiding principle that I've had since, well, it was printed in 1960 by the Chicago Daily News, and it really has led my life over all these decades. And the title of it is called, Do You Act or React? And it starts like this. I walked with a friend to the newsstand the other night. He bought a newspaper, thanking the newsboy politely. The newsboy didn't even acknowledge it. He's a sullen fellow, isn't he? I commented. Oh, he's that way every night, shrugged my friend. Then why do you continue to be so polite to him, I asked. Why not? Why should I let him decide how I'm going to act? As I thought about this incident later, it occurred to me that the important word was act. My friend acts towards people, most of us react towards them. He has a sense of inner balance, which is lacking in most of us. He knows who he is, what he stands for, how he should behave. He refused to return incivility for incivility because he would no longer be in command of his own conduct. Nobody is unhappier than the perpetual reactor. His center of emotional gravity is not rooted within himself where it belongs, but in the world outside. His temperature is always being raised or lowered by the social climate around him. and he's a mere creature at the mercy of those elements. Praise gives him a feeling of euphoria, which is false, because it does not last and it does not come from self-approval. Criticism depresses him more than it should, because it confirms his own secretly shaken opinion. Snubs hurt him, and the mere suspicion of unpopularity in any court rouse him to bitterness. Serenity of spirit cannot be achieved until we become the masters of our own actions and attitudes. To let another determine whether we shall be rude or gracious, elated or depressed, is to relinquish control over our own personalities, which is ultimately all we possess. The only true possession is self-possession. And I have believed that for many, many decades, that I am in control. No one else is in control of me. And I would attribute my success to actually believing that.
Mm. Whew. Wow. Wow, that's incredible. Thank you. It's 9 o'clock. A couple of things have to happen right now. The first is Karen has to get back to school.
Yes.
So let's offer Karen a round of applause. Thank you. Let me have your own pen. I'm sure that you have questions for our panelists, so I want you to think about them, and I want you to write them down if you need to. We're going to open up discussion in just a couple of minutes. Before we move to your questions, I'd like to welcome Robin Johnson to the stage. You may recall that Robin is the person I mentioned that you want to have in your network. Hey. Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Do you have it?
I have it.
Okay. All right.
I think
You know what? You can come over here. Why don't you can come here, and I'll move over here. How's that?
I didn't expect this.
But you need this.
Okay.
Why don't we switch? There you go.
Can you all hear me? Yes? All right. I love this event. It is so inspirational. Thank you so much. I saw Karen on the way out. I've got so many takeaways already. I hope you all do too. Marge, like you mentioned earlier, I love being out in the community, meeting all of you guests for the first time, and introducing people to the Town and County Club, either for events or membership. It always surprises me to meet people who have never heard of the Town and County Club before, so I'm glad so many of you are here today for the first time. We'd love to know what you thought about this program. We tweak it every time, and we do that based on the comments that we receive from all of you. So please take a moment to fill out the comment cards that are on each of your tables, and I'll ask the table hostesses to please collect them and put them in the silver envelope. Let us know what you enjoyed about the program. Did you have an aha moment? Is there something we need to enhance about it that can make it even more meaningful for you? Please let us know. We also expect that many of you may be interested in learning a little bit more about membership at the Town and County Club. We hope you will. So please indicate that on your comment card as well. When you arrived, you found a small flyer on your chair that indicates 3 upcoming events that we thought you as professional businesswomen and some of the wonderful good men who are here today as well. Please know that we do have club membership open to men who are smart enough to join. So if you're interested in the membership information session on the 23rd, it's a session, it's a little bit more relaxed and intimate with a couple of our members and anyone who's interested in learning more. There's no commitment, it's wine and cheese, we gather in the front parlor, it's a lovely time. So let me know if you'd like to join us for the next one there. Kathy Cloud is going to be speaking at our Business Connections. Where is Kathy? There she is, okay. She's going to be speaking at our Business Connections coming up in June, and we would like to invite you to join us for that as well. And we always love our parties on the patio, which is a fun, no-program get-together, so please let us know if you're interested in that. Let's see. 2 more things. We are providing group tours of this beautiful Lyman House at the end of today's program. They'll be quick. We know you're anxious to get back to work. Sally Richter, a former president and president of the Lyman Heritage Foundation for this house, will be giving one of the tours. Michael Duvall will be giving another one. He's our general manager. And Susan Barnes, whose name has come up many times today, will be our third tour. And Karen Goldschmidt from our hospitality committee will also give tours. And members, please remember to turn your name tags back into Karen before you leave today. So as you finish your cards, please pass them back to your hostess. And Marge, is there anything else? I know that you got prompted by Marge, so I can too. Is there anything else that I forgot to say or do?
That was fabulous. Thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you've done to make this such an incredible event. Thank you. So now it's time to answer your questions. Who has questions for our panel? Yes. Can you stand? And how
Absolutely.
the question was, I'd like to know if Sharon could share that beautiful poem that she wrote. Are you a member?
I'm not a member, I'm a guest of this meeting.
Okay, so
I
how?
have to join to get it, I think.
That's what Karen would say.
Well, we will post it in the private Facebook group, but.
How much is it worth to you? I want to do good and do well, you see. You have to say that. I'd be happy to make copies.
Well, you know, I loved it so much because my motto for my life has been be authentic. You know, I don't know if any of you read the book Four Agreements, but several years ago when I was getting divorced, someone gave it to me, and it's a great little book. And you know, one of the four agreements is be authentic, do your best. Don't take things personally. And what's the one about your word? Choose your right word. Oh my God, I can't believe I read this book all the time. I'm just trying to
It's be impeccable.
be impeccable with your
Yeah.
word. That's the word I couldn't think of. But you know, and that speaks to that. You know, it's be who you are. And I loved it. Thank you for sharing.
Well, what we can do is, in the event you don't join the Town and County Club, we can send that out to the table hostesses. And hey, that is so worth sharing, and share it with everyone in your networks as well. It was that was priceless advice. Thank you for your question. Who has another one? Really? Oh, thank you.
I'm just wondering how everyone, all three of you, have managed the work-personal life balance.
That's-
You've spoken about it in specifics, but in general, how have you managed to fulfill both roles?
That's a great question. And we could do a full day event just on work-life balance, how to do that. What are your quick thoughts on that? Debbie, why don't we start with you?
Okay, I think, so work-life balance for me, well, I enjoy my work. So I wake up in the morning, it doesn't feel like a chore to go to work. Like my daughter probably feels it's a chore to go to school. But I also have the support of my husband and my family, so it makes it easy. And the support, we have a great firm that we have. We're about 20 people with the partners, so we're very family oriented even at the firm, and we support each other. So it's important to have people around you that are supportive of you, and it makes it a lot easier.
Thank you.
That's always a tough question, work-life balance. I wonder how often men are asked that question. But I think that for me, like Debbie, I've always loved my work. So I never think, it is work, but I love it, and I'm passionate about it, and I take it seriously. The rest of my life, I don't take very seriously. I mean, really, 3 children, once the children outnumbered the adults, I figured it was all over, what could I do? You know, so I didn't have curfews, I didn't do any of those things. I guess they kind of reared themselves somehow miraculously. But I just take the rest of life very seriously. I take my work seriously, but not the rest of my life, it just kind of rolls off, and I go with the flow, you know. I've been a Girl Scout leader, I've been a swim team coach, I've been a softball coach, I've done all those things. And I love them, but it was easy because I didn't take it too seriously.
Yeah, so I think what I'm hearing from both of you and what I experienced for myself is, and all of my clients, is that you kind of get to a point where, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling constricted, you're feeling constrained, like there's just, too many things and people that need you and not enough of you to go around. And so what I learned to do is to, just go inside and say, okay, what is going on here? And if you're not, if your work is not your passion, then that's going to add stress to your life. And that's something that you're going to need a lot of balance, a lot of other stuff in order to balance it. So what I've heard from all three panelists, and actually all three times that I've run this panel, is that the most important thing for them was to align themselves with work that was authentic to them, was an authentic expression of who they are. And when you do that, then work doesn't feel like work. Work isn't a burden, and it's just a matter of managing more the other parts of your life. So you do, terrific.
I do have another comment about that. Somebody had said once, and I have tried to live by this in the last couple of years, is when you're at work, you're 100% at work. When you leave work and go to your child's baseball game, swim meet, whatever, you're 100% there. You can't be half and half and half and half. It doesn't work. So if you're going to leave early and go to an event for your child, then you have to turn work off and just be there and be in the moment. Wherever you are, you have to be in that moment. Certainly emergencies come up, but if you're going to do that, you really have to be committed to what you're doing at that time.
I love that. I'm feeling like detach and engage. So very cool. Great. Well, guess what? We are at the end of our time together today. So yeah. Thank you. As you can see, success is defined differently for each of our panelists. And so my best parting advice to you is to define success your way and take a step every day towards creating it without settling or compromising. Right, Sharon? Yeah. There you go. If you'd like a tour, you're going to go back to, you can see where Robin is, you're going to go back to the registration area when you came in this morning. If you don't want a tour, then you can head out these ballroom doors to the parking lot. And if you are interested in learning more about the privileges of membership at the Town and County Club, Robin is the person that you want to see up in that registration area. So thank you so much for coming today.
It's on my desktop, so I can.
Digital version of it?
Sure.
So this is my first time here, and what you read, I really wanted to